What if the toxic person in your life, the one who disrespects you, who crosses your lines, who treats your presence as though it means nothing, what if they are not actually the problem? What if the real reason they keep coming back, keep pushing, keep finding ways to diminish you is because somewhere without realizing it, you left the door open for them? What if I told you that there is one thing, one single internal shift, that once you make it, once you truly make it, toxic people will not just stop disrespecting you, they will stop approaching you altogether. Not because you became aggressive, not because you argued better, not because you finally said the perfect thing at the perfect moment, but because you became so completely, so deeply, so unshakably yourself that there was simply nothing left for them to exploit. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly what that shift is, why most people never make it, and how the moment you do, everything changes. Your relationships, your peace, your entire experience of moving through the world. Stay with me, because what comes next is not what you are expecting, and it may be the most important thing you hear today. What if the reason toxic people keep finding their way into your life, keep disrespecting you, keep crossing your lines, keep treating you as though your presence means nothing, is not because of who they are, but because of something you have never done? What if the single most powerful thing standing between you and a life of dignity, peace, and respect has nothing to do with the toxic person at all, and everything to do with you? What if I told you that there is one thing, one moment, one decision, one act that once done, once truly done from the deepest place within you, changes the way every single person in your life relates to you forever? Not because you became louder, not because you became meaner, not because you built walls around your heart, but because you became so deeply, so completely, so unshakably yourself that there was simply no room left for anyone to disrespect you ever again. Stay with, because what I am about to share with you is not a trick. It is not a technique. It is not something you read once and forget. It is a truth that once it enters you will rearrange everything. There is a particular kind of pain that comes not from physical wounds, but from the slow erosion of your dignity. It is the pain of sitting at a table where someone speaks over you, as though your voice does not exist. It is the pain of watching someone use your kindness as a ladder to climb higher while pushing you further down. It is the pain of realizing, perhaps at 3 in the morning when the world is quiet and you are alone with your thoughts, that you have allowed, that somewhere along the journey of your life, you began to believe, perhaps very quietly, perhaps without even noticing, that you deserved less, that your boundaries were negotiable, that your peace was something that others had the right to disturb. And here is the uncomfortable truth that most people spend their entire lives running away from. Toxic people did not create that belief. They simply found it. They walked into your life and they found a door that was already open. They found a foundation that was already cracked. They found a person who had not yet done the most important work of all, the work of knowing themselves so completely, so honestly, so fearlessly that there was nothing left to exploit. Understand this deeply, because this is where most people make the greatest mistake of their lives. They spend enormous amounts of energy focusing on the toxic person. They analyze the toxic person. They try to change the toxic person. They rehearse conversations with the toxic person at 2 in the morning. They build strategies around the toxic person. They dream of the day the toxic person will finally understand, finally apologize, finally see the damage they have caused. And while all of that energy is flowing outward, towards something you cannot control, towards someone who has not yet chosen to grow, your own foundation continues to crack. Your own self-knowledge continues to fade. Your own inner voice becomes quieter and quieter until one day you can barely hear it at all. The warrior does not spend his time sharpening the enemy's sword. He sharpens his own. And this single redirection of all your energy, all your awareness, all your attention from the outside world back to yourself, this is the beginning of everything. Now let us speak about what it truly means to know yourself. Not the surface level knowing, not the knowing that comes from knowing your favorite color or your preferred morning routine. I am speaking about the knowing that requires you to sit in complete silence and ask yourself questions that make you uncomfortable. Questions like, what do I actually stand for? What will I genuinely not accept in my life, regardless of who is offering it? Where have I been dishonest with myself about my own weaknesses? Where have I been pretending that something does not hurt me when it cuts me deeply every single time? This kind of self-examination is not comfortable. In fact, it is one of the most challenging things a human being can do. Because when you look at yourself honestly, truly honestly, you will find not only your strengths, but also your shadows. You will find the places where fear has been making your decisions. You will find the moments where you chose comfort over truth. You will find the patterns that have been repeating themselves across different people, different situations, different years of your life, because the common thread in all of those situations was never the other person. It was always you. And this is not set to blame you. This is set to liberate you. Because if you are the common thread, then you are also the solution. If your patterns have created the conditions for disrespect, then your transformation can create the conditions for absolute, unshakable dignity. The moment you understand that you have far more power over your life than you have ever allowed yourself to believe, that is the moment your relationship with toxic people begins to change permanently. Not because they change, but because you do. Now, here is the one thing. The thing that once done makes it almost impossible for toxic people to disrespect you ever again. It is this: you must make a decision, not a wish, not a hope, not a quiet intention that lives somewhere in the back of your mind. A decision, a real, complete, irreversible decision about who you are and what you will allow. There is an enormous difference between these two things, and most people spend their entire lives in the space of the wish, never crossing into the territory of the decision. A wish says, I hope people will treat me better. A decision says, I know exactly what I will tolerate, and I have already determined what will happen when that line is crossed. A wish waits for the world to change. A decision changes the person, and through the person changes the world. When you make this kind of decision, when you draw this line not in anger, not in desperation, not in reaction to someone who has already hurt you, but in a place of deep calm, deep clarity, deep self-respect, something remarkable happens. People feel it, not because you announce it, not because you wear it on a sign, but because it lives in the way you carry yourself. It lives in the quality of your silence. It lives in the steadiness of your eyes when someone attempts to diminish you. It lives in the unhurried pace of your response when someone tries to provoke you. You cannot fake this quality. You cannot perform it. It must be real. And it becomes real only when the decision behind it is real. Let us speak about the energy that you carry. Every human being radiates a frequency, not in any mystical or complicated sense, but in the very practical sense that the way you think, the way you hold your body, the way you respond to pressure, the way you treat yourself when no one is watching, all of this communicates something to the people around you long before you speak a single word. Toxic people are, in a very real sense, predators of energy. They do not choose their targets randomly. They choose people who send out signals of uncertainty, people who apologize too quickly, people who laugh nervously when they should speak firmly, people who shrink when they should expand, people who over-explain when they need only to be clear. When your inner state shifts, when you have done the work of knowing yourself, deciding who you are, and committing to that decision completely, the energy you radiate shifts as well. And toxic people who depend on finding uncertainty to exploit simply find nothing to work with. There is no crack in the foundation. There is no open door. There is no signal of self-doubt for them to amplify and manipulate. And so they move on, not because you fought them, not because you argued with them, not because you exposed them or demanded an apology from them, but because you gave them nothing to work with. This brings us to one of the most misunderstood ideas in all of human interaction, the idea of reaction. Most people believe that how powerfully you react to disrespect determines how seriously you are taken. They believe that a loud response, a dramatic response, an emotionally charged response communicates strength. But consider this: have you ever watched a truly strong person be insulted? Have you ever watched someone who is genuinely secure in who they are receive a disrespectful comment and simply not move? Their face does not flush, their voice does not shake, their hands do not tremble. They simply look at the person with a clarity that is almost unsettling, and they respond, if they respond at all, from a place of such complete stillness that the insult seems to bounce off them and return to the person who sent it. This is not emotional coldness. This is mastery. This is what happens when a person is so rooted in themselves that external turbulence cannot reach their core. The tree that has deep roots does not fear the storm. It does not need to argue with the wind. It simply stands, and the wind, finding nothing to break, eventually passes. Your reaction, or your conscious choice not to react, is one of the most powerful communicators of your inner state. Every time you react impulsively to a toxic person, every time you raise your voice, every time you send the angry message, every time you lose your composure, you are communicating something very specific. You are communicating that this person has access to your inner world, that their words can reach inside you and rearrange your peace. And once a toxic person knows they have this access, they will use it again and again and again. But when you respond from stillness, when you take the breath, when you find the pause between the stimulus and the response, you communicate something entirely different. You communicate that you are the master of your own state, that no one, regardless of what they say or do, has the power to take that mastery from you. And this quality of unshakable inner stability is what toxic people cannot penetrate. It is what makes them look elsewhere. But let us be honest about something. This is not easy. The decision is not a one-time event that once made requires no further effort. Every day, in small moments and large ones, you will be tested. Someone will say something designed to make you feel small. Someone will push against your boundary to see if it is real or if it is simply a boundary you talk about. Someone will test your silence to see if it truly comes from strength or if it is just waiting to explode. And in those moments, in the moments when everything inside you wants to react, wants to defend, wants to prove, wants to retaliate, you must return to the decision. You must remember who you decided to be. You must breathe, you must find the stillness underneath the storm, and you must respond, not react, but respond from that place. Every time you do this successfully, the foundation becomes stronger. Every time you choose your response over your reaction, you deposit something into the account of your own self-mastery. And over time, over consistent, patient, disciplined time, that account grows so full that the provocations of toxic people become almost laughable. Not because you are above them as a human being, but because you are so firmly planted in yourself that their winds simply cannot move you. There is also something that must be said about kindness, because there is a great misunderstanding in the world that setting boundaries, becoming unshakable, refusing to tolerate disrespect, means becoming hard, becoming cold, becoming someone who walks through life with armored walls and never lets anyone in. This is not what is being asked of you. In fact, and this may seem paradoxical at first, the person who has truly mastered themselves is often the most genuinely kind person in the room, because their kindness does not come from fear. It does not come from the need to be liked or the fear of being rejected. It does not come from the desperate hope that if they are kind enough, people will not hurt them. Their kindness comes from a place of abundance, from a place of genuine choice. They are kind because they choose to be kind, not because they are afraid of what happens if they are not. And this kind of kindness, chosen, conscious, free, is something entirely different from the kindness that toxic people exploit. Toxic people cannot exploit kindness that does not come from insecurity, because insecurity is what they are actually feeding on, not your kindness itself. So what is the one thing you must do? You must meet yourself fully, honestly, completely. You must sit down in silence, without distraction, without the noise of the world filling every available moment of your consciousness. And you must ask yourself the questions you have been avoiding. You must look at the patterns. You must examine the beliefs. You must find the places where you have been accepting less than you deserve, not because others forced you to, but because some part of you believed you had no other choice. And then, from that place of complete honesty, complete self-knowledge, complete clarity, you must make the decision about who you are, the decision about what you will allow, the decision about how you will carry yourself through every room, every relationship, every moment of your life going forward, not loudly, not aggressively, not with a declaration to the world, simply internally, quietly, completely, and then you must live it every day, in every interaction, through every test and every provocation and every moment when it would be easier to go back to the old way of being, because here is the final truth, and it is a truth that changes everything once you truly understand it. Toxic people are not the problem, they are the symptom. The problem and the solution has always been within you. The moment you do the work of truly knowing yourself and committing completely to that knowledge, the world reorganizes itself around that commitment. The people who belong in your life will feel your energy and be drawn closer. The people who do not belong, the ones who fed on your uncertainty and your self-doubt, will find that there is simply nothing there for them anymore. They will not announce their departure. They will simply fade, because where there is no crack, there is no entry. Where there is no door, there is no way in. And where there is no uncertainty, there is no power for a toxic person to take. Do this once, truly, completely, and you will never need to do anything else. And when you master that, when you truly do this once and do it completely, the world changes. Not because it was waiting to, but because you finally changed first.